Hey, what's up guys? It's Shamrocked here. I just wanted to make a very quick video, and I do mean quick this time, about the new talent that came with the 11.0.5 patch that dropped this week. So we have Coalescing Water now. It's a nice bridge between Tidebringer and High Tide. And what it does is it decreases the mana cost of Chain Heal by 10%. This is every Chain Heal you cast. And then it also makes it so every time you cast Chain Heal, you basically get a stacking buff that increases the healing of your next Riptide by 75%, stacking up to 2 times, for a total of 150% if you do 2 Chain Heals in a row. So this is actually really powerful, not only for the mana decrease, which is just really nice to have on its own, but it also turns your Riptides into really amazing single target heals, especially if you're running, with an ancestor or 2 ancestors at the time that you cast that charged Riptide. Very, very effective. And that's also increased if you're running the Torrent talent as well. So how does the Coalescing Water work into our Farseer and Totemic builds? Well, let's go over it real quick. So for Farseer, and I'm just really going to go over the way that I play Farseer, and this is Mythic Plus only, this is not for Raid. If you are doing Raid, it's probably going to look it's going to look a little bit different than this. But anyways, my Mythic Plus playstyle for Farseer, and I will tell you, so far since the patch dropped, it's made healing 14s pretty much free, like so easy. Yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say. Like every 14 I've done, even if they get bricked by something silly or somebody making a mistake, the actual healing aspect of it is just so easy, which is crazy because there are a few keys before where I was kind of struggling with Farseer to make it work. It was possible, it was definitely doable, but it required a lot of work, it required a lot of focus, a lot of brain power. This Coalescing Water has made it a little bit, I wouldn't say brain dead, but it's made it a lot easier. And in addition to that, you'll notice I've actually made some changes to my build in general. So if you've been watching any of my recent videos for Farseer, I usually have Primal Tide Core, Tidewaters, and Primordial Wave. After some, self-reflection and log review, I've realized that, both Primordial Wave and Tidewaters, although nice to have, and although, they kind of felt nice, were doing such a small portion of my overall healing that I figured I could spend those points elsewhere. So I took those points out and I put them into Torrent and the new talent Coalescing Water. I also took a point out of Primal Tide Core. I didn't want to do this because with my playstyle, which I'll get into in a second, I want as many Riptides out as humanly possible. But that being said, I do have Echo of the Elements, which gives me 3 Riptide charges, which is, more than enough. So I decided to take Primal Tide Core out. A, because it's less overall Riptides than Echo of the Elements, assuming you're casting Riptide somewhat on cooldown. And B, unless you're tracking Primal Tide Core with like some sort of weak aura or something, it's really hard to control and know when it's going to go out. And you know me, I'm not a huge fan of the weak aura tracking. So yeah, I just decided to get rid of this. And then I actually put that point into Deeply Rooted Elements. And this is actually, I don't know, I like it. I was skeptical of it at first. I still am a little bit skeptical of it with Totemic because you're not casting as many Riptides, but with Farseer, it's actually coming quite handy a few times now in my keys. Sometimes it'll pop like when nothing's happening, like between packs and whatever, and you just shrug it off. But every so often, more often than you'd think, it pops exactly when you need it to, which is really nice. And then you'll also notice I took out my point from APT and I put it into Earth Living Weapon. That's sort of just like a style choice based on the dungeon and based on the required healing. I do still think APT is very powerful, and it's just, it's really niche. So whether you want to take that or not is up to you. But anyway, so this build, the playstyle with it, it's very heavily leaning into the Flow of the Tides talent. So Flow of the Tides is going to buff your chain heal by 30%, which is huge, and it's the entire chain heal. Every time you cast it on a target with a Riptide. And for anybody who hasn't played with Flow before, or maybe finds the wording a bit confusing, it's going to consume the Riptide on the first target it hits. It will not consume any other Riptides from subsequent targets other than the first one. All right, so you can kind of see where I'm going with this. With 3 charges of Riptide with Echo of the Elements, you basically just try to keep Riptide on the entire group at all times. And then when you go into damage windows, you activate your second ancestor, you activate any cooldowns you want to use, and then you just rip those Flow of the Tides chain heals. Even better if they're souped up by High Tide, and also, while your Cloudburst is down. And basically you're going to rip 2 chain heals that are going to be super fast because you're running Tidebringer. You're going to consume those Riptides, and then and that's maybe what, like a second, 1.5 seconds with Tidebringer and Tidal Waves. Super fast chain heals. And then after those two, you're going to have a juiced up Riptide to use because you're running Torrent and you're running Coalescing Water. So, and you're going to have at least one Ancestor up, maybe two. So your next Riptide is basically going to bring somebody like from 20% HP to 100% HP. It's massive. All right. So you do your two chain heals, then you do your Riptide, and then you just keep going into chain heals, and you sort of just do that back and forth during the damage windows. In addition to casting Surge, healing Surge whenever you need like a big single target heal. And with the way that the Ancestors work, assuming that you're keeping one Ancestor on cooldown all the time with Unleashed Life, and assuming that you're using Ancestral Swiftness to activate a second Ancestor during the more tougher, the harder damage windows, this is just it's huge healing. I encourage anybody who's interested in Farseer to try this playstyle. I'm really enjoying it, and it may not be for you. Like it's a very niche playstyle, but I'm finding it to be extremely effective and pretty easy as well. But like I said, you just really have to lean heavily into Flow of the Tides because once again, you have like infinite Riptides. And if you really wanted to, like I said, you could get rid of DRE if this is not your style, and you could put that into Primal Tide Core to have even more Riptides for ammunition, which is great. You could also take this point out and put it into Spouting Spirits, or you could put it into Downpour if you're pushing really high keys and need that HP increase. However, if you're pushing the type of key where you need the HP increase from Downpour, you're probably not watching this video. So if you are watching this video, I would say, don't worry about Downpour in favor of these other guys. They're going to help your overall healing much more. All right, so that's what I would say for the Farseer change. For Totemic, I apologize because I don't know what the answer is here. I think for Totemic, what we're going to need to do, you and myself included, is sort of wait to see what the highest key pushers are doing, and even the trickle down effect, like even the people pushing the 13 and 14s with mostly Totemic, sort of just take a look at what they're doing, in a week or two, and see who is actually using this new talent. So I've been playing around. If I wanted to use this talent, the new talent, Coalescing Water, you'd have to take Tidebringer. So normally in my Totemic build, here, let me just adjust this. This is my normal Totemic build. All right. Plus or minus a few points where, Earth Living Weapon might be in Tidewaters or whatever, and Spouting Spirits might be in the Primordial Wave. But this is my general Totemic build before this new talent was introduced. And you can see I don't take Tidebringer, and it's really not a active chain heal focused build in the sense that I'm relying on my totems, and I use Cloudburst Totem to mainly cast my Chain Heal. So every time I get a Surging Totem window, I then put a totem down to cast Chain Heal and activate my Earth Motes, and get Earth Living Weapon on the entire group. And then I may manually cast one more Chain Heal during that Surging Totem window, but that's pretty much it. I'm not really, spamming Chain Heals or really utilizing them as much as I possibly can, like I would in my Farseer build where I'm running Flow of the Tides. So because of that, like just with that play style, Coalescing Water is not going to do much for me, right? I'm going to get one juiced up Riptide every 30 seconds, maybe if I'm lucky every 20 seconds. And I'm also going to have Tidebringer, which I find for Totemic, Tidebringer is a bit of a trap because it sort of encourages you to actively cast Chain Heals more. And unfortunately for Totemic, unless you're running Flow of the Tides and getting very lucky with who your Totem Chain Heals are targeting and actually utilizing that flow buff without, eating Riptides that aren't meant to be eaten, the Chain Heals for Totemic, the active Chain Heals at least, are pretty weak, right? I mean, they do have the Ancestral Reach buff, which is 8%, and if you're lucky and tracking, you can have High Tide on them as well, which will make them powerful. But all in all, compared to Farseer Chain Heal build, Totemic Chain Heals are just not it. The Totemic has so many other tools to keep the group alive, whether you're playing Healing Stream Totem, the super juiced up Downpour, like I said, the activating the Earth Motes and getting Earth Surge on the entire group. Like Totemic doesn't need the potential boost to Chain Heal that the Coalescing Water playstyle sort of revolves around, right? So because of that, I personally, after practicing, probably wouldn't change my build. I'm not going to incorporate this Coalescing Water into the build. However, if I did want to try it out, I say probably sacrifice Ancestral Awakening, or maybe sacrifice, Spouting Spirits and maybe Primal Tide Core. I don't know. You'd have to get creative with it. I would say check out if you have logs from previous keys you've been running as Totemic, or, you know, if you're running them right now, just take a look, like go into your, you know, go find a key you did, go into healing done, look at your breakdown and just take a look, like how much is Tidewaters doing for you? How much is Primordial Wave, like Healing Wave, doing for you? How much is, you know, if you're running Deeply Rooted Elements, check your Restorativeness. How much is that doing for you? And do you find it effective? And that's kind of how you're going to make your own decision on what to drop for this new talent, if you want to go down that route. However, just to recap, Farseer, absolutely, I'm taking this new talent. It feels like the missing puzzle piece to the Farseer build for Mythic Plus. Honestly, I'm not trying to over exaggerate here, but it makes me feel like a god running keys right now. It's just, I have an answer for absolutely everything. The heals it pumps out are insane. It basically covers the weakness that I found, that I thought I had compared to Totemic. And once again, I mean, maybe that's just like the initial sort of love-struck feeling of having this new talent, but so far I'm very optimistic about it. So this is what, once again, what I would run for Farseer. And then for Totemic, once again, the Coalescing Water with Totemic is just not my style. So I would just stick with this build here. But if you do want to run it, you do want to try it out, go ahead, just take a look at other logs that you've had, go run a few keys, see what your lowest healing options are, and then take those away and put them into these new talents. Or do what I'm going to do and just wait and see what the top Totemic players are doing in a couple of weeks. You may see them running it, you may not see them, I don't know. But that will be a good indication of what to do. So yep, hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was at least a little bit helpful for you. Once again, if you haven't tried Farseer before and you're looking to, there's lots of guides. Lauren has a really good, his channel for YouTube as well as his Twitch. Go and check him out. He runs Farseer keys. There are some other shamans who are doing it too. I have a lot of videos on my channel as well if you want to see the playstyle. So yeah, I encourage you to try it though with this new talent because it really just makes it feel great. Okay, and with that, signing off. I will see you next time. Real quick, apologies I haven't come out with any new dungeon guides lately. I do have a few in the chamber that have been recorded. I'm just working on finishing them up. I've just been a little bit busy in real life lately. But anyways, take care. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.